Have you ever had one of those mornings where you get out of bed and you do something really stupid and hurt yourself? Well, that's what I did a couple of weeks ago. And you may have noticed that I've not been around on the crippled finger cook and I've been wearing a brace on and off. Well, that's because I jarred my hand on something really dumb like a drawer. But anyway, I'm back today and this is another episode of the crippled finger cook. And I literally am the crippled finger because it's still quite sore and I caught it today on this blasted drawer here. So that's what happens when you don't concentrate fully, because I get a little bit caught up with excitement of what I'm doing and I forget sometimes that my fingers hook into things and I pay a very hefty price when that happens. Anyway, so I'm having my kids over for dinner tonight and I'm going to do some really yummy food. So I'm making bread and I've also got as an entree some zucchini soup. Now, these zucchinis are what they call the not perfect batch. And the reason I've skinned off a little bit is because the skins were pretty average looking. So, but they're quite cheap when you buy the ones that they're not so perfect. So I've got 4 zucchinis here and I've got my oven for my bread heating up for 220 and we'll get to that shortly. But first of all, how am I going to make my soup? Well, because I've got a roast little piggy for tonight, that's in the fridge still because it's way too early to start that. So I thought I'd just show you briefly an entree, or you can have it as a lunch, and how easy it is to make this soup. And again, I'm using my rice cooker, which is the larger one, and it was a $35 job from Cambrook. This is it here. And it has the ability to saute as well as keep warm. So, oh, that's my oven saying it's ready. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to chop it up rather, largely, because all I really want to do is cook it in the pot. I'm not going to do anything fancy. I'm just going to make it nice and soft, cook it all up. And then when it's finished, after I've finished with my Thermomix, I'm going to blend it. Now I don't have another blender here, so I have to use this one. And so I thought, how am I going to do this? Because normally what I would do is I'd blend it up in the Thermomix and I'd cook it up in that. And I thought, why not try this way? I've got the little rice cooker. It's going to do just as good a job. I have to chop them up a little bit, but big deal. It's so easy to cut, and even with a sore hand, I can do this. So anyone can do this. The kids can do it. Zucchinis are really easy to cut. It doesn't have to be done in any specific way because I'm making a smooth soup, which means, well, if you wanted to, you could chop it up chunky, but I actually like my zucchini soup to be quite smooth. And it's really basic, simple soup. You pretty much whack your zucchinis in, whack an onion in, and I've already roughly chopped an onion. I've got red onions. You could be brown onion, white onion, whatever onion that you like. Pop that in there. Now, I don't put any garlic or any spices in because zucchini is such a gentle flavour that you can overpower it if you whack too many other things in with it. So this is going to make a reasonable amount of soup. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if I'm going to need the extra one, but we'll whack it in anyway. And I can always add more water. So the idea here is I just want to cook up the zucchinis in the stock so it infuses a bit of flavour into them. And I'm just using a vegetable stock, not using anything fancy. I'm having to think that maybe I've probably got. So when things don't go as planned, because I'm using the reverse camera, I couldn't tell that it actually stopped. And unfortunately, you get to see me chopping up the zucchini and I decide that I only need half of the last one. You saw me put the onion in, put the zucchinis in. The next thing I did was I put the water in. I popped in a stock cube, which was this one's a vegetable stock cube. You can use chicken stock if you like. I popped it in here and turned it on. That's it. Now, the downside of this is that I already made my blasted bread in the meantime, and that's when the camera's turned off. So, what I'm going to do instead is I will actually now show you the dough, which is already risen, and I will go through very quickly how you can actually do the bread. I'll make another bread. You know, when things go wrong. Now, I can't tell if this is still going, so I'm just going to pop around the back and see. It's probably the last time I'll do it this way. I did do it this way because it's got a much higher definition video camera. However, you're left in the dark as to whether or not it's playing fair. So I'm just going to go and have a look and see if it's working. And yes, it is. Okay. There's my dough rising in the sunshine. So I will show you how to do that, and we'll put that all together in the video. Oh well. Things happen when you're here on your own. You can't tell that somebody's actually being videoed or not. Never mind. I'll be back soon. So what I'm going to do instead, because I'm using that other one for the large loaf, is I've got a open tray here, because I'm not going to do as big a dough this time round, because I don't know how I can eat that much bread. Anyway, so what I might do is, rather than just have a plain one, I'll do one that's got a little bit of garlic in it. And I've only got garlic granules. So I'm going to put a little bit of garlic and roasted onion, which I've got up here. And just for a bit of novelty, I'm going to add some chilli to it. Why not? Seeing as I have to do a second loaf, might as well make it a little bit interesting. Okay. You can see my zucchini soup bubbling away there. So I'm just going to do probably 300 grams this time. Now, whatever you add, you've also got to include that in your sort of mixture ratio to water. And I actually have half a packet of yeast, which this is going to work out quite well. Okay, so that's about 300. Okie dokie. So now I'm going to sprinkle in a little bit of, now you can do this later or you can do it earlier. I'm going to do it earlier because I want it to really infuse. So I'm going to sprinkle some of this in. About 20 grams. I reckon that's about 20. It's not showing up, but this stuff's quite potent. We've got a stink. Okay, a little bit of the fried shallots. Make a bit of them in there. You notice that it's not really moving. These are quite lightweight. And some of my own garlic, some of my own chilies. So I'm going to pop those in there. Just a bit of a sprinkle. Okay. And then I'm getting covered in flour. Don't you love that? And then I'm going to add a little bit of the water. Now this time round I probably only want, I reckon about 120 of water. This will be interesting. I haven't done one of these half loaves for quite a while, so I'm hoping that it's going to be okay. You never know till you give it a go. So here we go. So I reckon that's probably about it. Pop the lid on. I have to get the yeast and pop that in. Find what I did with that half packet of yeast. It's floating around here somewhere. I do believe it's in here. Ah, here we go. I knew there was a reason why I kept a little packet. Okay, so I'm going to pop that in there. And I'm going to give her a mix. Now, I'll know if there's enough water in this when I mix it up, because I won't be very happy if there's not. So I put it on for 10 seconds. And make sure the lid is actually on. And here we go. Not enough water, I can already tell. Maybe it is. Yeah, not enough water. So now that's the second time that the camera packed it in on me, which without me being able to tell. So I got up to not enough water. And so you saw what I did with the dough before. I pulled it out, I've popped it into a bowl, and I've popped a plastic over the top, and I'm now going to go and pop that over in the window, in the sunshine, for it to double in growth. I wish money would double in growth by sticking it in the sun. Anyway, I'm going to do that and I'll bring the other one back. Okay, so I reckon my soup's ready. So I'm flicking her off now because she's pumping away madly there. And turn her off here because they don't switch off otherwise. I'm just going to let that cool down a bit so I can actually handle it. Now, here's my first loaf. Look at that. So I'm going to pack away some of this stuff. And I've got my bread tin here. Now, these are fantastic. You do not have to have these. This is from the No Knead bread shop. And I've had these for many, many years. I oil them and they work wonderfully. And they make like a good sized loaf. I've got a little half tin as well, which I think you've seen me use previously. And then I've also got this one. Just move those over there. I could have added zucchini to my bread and could have had zucchini bread as well. Oh, well, maybe next time. Oh, might do that with the leftover zucchini for tomorrow. So this is the one that I'm going to use for that smaller loaf. So you can have a free shape in that one, or you can just put it on a bread or put it on a flat tray. It doesn't have to be fancy. I like these because they I used to make a lot of bread. Kaz's kitchen 15 years ago was what I was doing, and I was doing a lot of things on a special website that I had, which that changed dramatically when we moved here. The ex-husband lost his job and I ended up having to go into his business and forget mine. Until now, I'm back. Don't have the husband anymore, so I can do what I want. Okay, I digress. So, now what am I going to do? So, I've got, I reckon that's just about risen enough. So I've got a little bit of a floured breadboard here. Now I might need a little bit more flour, possibly, so I might just grab that out. Okay. Now I'm going to tip her out, like I'm powdering my hands, and you'll see the reason I'm powdering my hands is so they don't stick to the dough. And you can see this dough's a lot softer now than what it was. Okay, so I want what's in there out. Okay, so that's come out of there fairly clean. Now what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to be very careful with it because I don't want it to be overworked now. I'm going to cut it in half. Now I used to have this wonderful bread knife, which or dough knife, which I don't have now. So sort of just decide what it's going to be, around about half. And the reason I do this is because it makes it easier for me to handle. So I end up with 2 sides to a loaf. And so it's easy to split. And then you can split one and pop it in the freezer if you want to. Or you just put one, give one to a friend and they've got like a whole loaf. Okay. Okay, so I'm not going to overwork this too much. I'm just going to make it nice and round and happy. And this is the fun I get because I don't have to work it hard because the work's already been done by the machine. And so I just get to play a little bit with it. And it feels so good. It really does feel good. As I said, cooking is actually really good for the soul. So is gardening. And the reason it is because you get to see something that you produce at the end and you get to eat it. And there's pleasure in them there words because you get to eat something, because you've created something, like creating children, isn't it? Okay, I'll pop that in there. Do the same with this one. Now you can do long loaves, skinny loaves, rolls if you wanted to, just make small rolls, just split them up differently. And the idea is just to get it smooth on the bottom. Now, other hands can work better than mine. So I just move it so you can see what I'm doing. My hands work only so well, and I can do this, so anyone can do this. And it is a lot of fun. And making your own bread doesn't have to be difficult. So you can have a bread maker if you want. This is sort of a bread maker, not quite, but it takes the harder work out for me. And I can be creative, so I can actually make a number of different breads if I want to. Now, I could work that a little bit more, which would take out, so you see the bubbles rising. So what happens is your bread cracks. Now, I'm not going to do that today because my hands are a little bit too sore to do that. But ideally, you want to sort of work those out a little bit. And you can hear them going squeak, 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 squeak. But I'm not going to worry about that so much today because my hands are a little bit sore. And the bread's going to still just be really yummy anyway. I'll pop that in there. Okay. So now I'm going to, you could if you wanted to, when you spray it with water, I'm just going to give it a spray, sprinkle some sesame seeds or some poppy seeds. I'm actually going to sprinkle a little bit more of the onions on top because I reckon that's going to just be super yummy. And give it another spray of water, and that helps it to stick. Okay, and now I'm going to pop it in the oven. Okay, and this will take probably between 25 to 30 minutes, and then she'll be done. Okay, so unfortunately the light's gone on my oven. Not good, but it is what it is. I'll just pop this in here, and she will be ready in no time. Okay, so let's look at this. It's about 4:30. I'm going to check that out. So that's how you make bread. Now my other bread is sitting over there. It's got a little bit of time to rise, but I'll do exactly the same thing. This time though, I'm just going to roll it into one loaf, one rounded piece of dough, and that will rise like a loaf. And I will show you what the end results for that one are as well. So I've got my zucchini soup. She's ready to go. She's going to go in the thermi later on, blend her up. And I've got a roast piggy. But I'm not showing you the roast piggy today. It was just bread and soup today. And you can have that as a delicious meal for your lunch if you want to. We're having it as an entree and nice crusty bread. I think actually I'm going to use maybe this other crusty bread with it, give them an option. So I'll slice up one and have the other two. So we might have some cheese and some dip and serve that up with it as well. And as I said to you, cooking is a way of having some enjoyment in your life. It's stress relief. Now, you saw what happened. Things didn't go quite right, but it doesn't matter. It's a bit of fun. I got covered in flour. The camera didn't turn on when it was supposed to. Oh, sorry, it switched off. But it's all a bit of fun because if you turn things around into the positive. So what that made me do was do another loaf of bread. And I showed you how you could do a savoury loaf instead. So just remember, when things don't go right, you can turn them around to make them positive. And that's it from the Crippled Finger Cook today. I hope not to catch my fingers in any more drawers. And I'll see you next week for another episode. Cheerio for now. And remember to share your smile every day with someone new or someone that you love. And eat healthy. Bye for now. Okay, so I'm back. I thought I'd actually show you this one because I've had trouble with the video camera today and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be editing and putting together because it's a bit out of sequence. Anyway, so this is the onion and chili and garlic one. And I'm going to take that out. So you see it's doubled in size. It's a bit smaller than the other one. But I'll show you what I plan on doing with this one. Okay, I've got a bit of flour on my board because I need to flour my hands, as I said before, to help it come out. So as you can see, it's come out quite easily, and that's it. Now, this one, I'm going to play with it a little bit. So because you want to squeeze out, you do want to squeeze out the air pockets. And I didn't really do that on the other one because my hands are a little bit sore and I figured, well, I can show you just briefly what I do with that. So you sort of knead it into a sausage roll, which is what I'm going to be doing. And it's such fun to play with dough. It really is. And it's actually quite relaxing. I don't know what it is, the sensation of sticking your fingers in dirt, sticking your fingers in dough. It's nice. It really is nice. So, okay. Well, for me, that's probably enough. As you can see, I've just played with it a little bit. Now, I'm going to roll it sort of into a little roly-poly. So the shape of that board just here, this nice little pan just here. And I was thinking before, what I can do with that zucchini is I can actually slice some little thin pieces. I'll peel it, and then I'll do some shaved pieces on top of the soup. And I reckon that'd be just brilliant. Okay, so I'll tuck them in, make them happy little shape. Right, it's a bit uneven. Put him in there, tuck him away. Okay, now be careful because this has got chili in it. As I said, if you get your kids to do it, make sure they really wash their hands. I probably wouldn't advise young ones doing this one because they will touch their eyes, they will touch their nose, and they will be sorry. Okay, so that's my nice little bread, and I'm going to pop her in the oven alongside the one that's currently going, and I've got 2 loaves. Now what I will do is I'll come back and I'll actually bring the loaves out and I'll show you how easily they pop off the pans. Now this one may not pop off as easily because I didn't quite oil that well. However, we'll find out, won't we? And there's a trick to it. If it doesn't want to release, there's a trick. You just let it sit there for a while and the sweat, and it decides, oh, okay, I'm not sticky anymore. Okay, so she's going in the oven alongside the other one. Okay, so I've had a bit of a different run today with my cooking, but it's just to show you that things don't always go to plan, and there's fun in that as well. So I'm going to bring out one loaf of bread, the other one's still cooking. We'll see how we go. Ooh, she's looking good. And the other one I can move into the centre now. I normally wouldn't interrupt bread baking in the middle of it, but oh well, what the hell. Today I thought I'd do something different. All right, so that's straight out, and there you go. How cool is that? That's how easy it is if you pre-prepare your pan. That's how it will come out, okay? Now, ouch. I'm going to let that sit. I'm going to let that cool. And as you can see, I've got a double loaf. Now, I didn't do them evenly. That's why I've got one a little bit lower than the other. I normally would be a little bit more careful. However, things weren't going quite as planned and I didn't want to take too long. So when that's cooled, I can snap that in half and you'll see the beautiful crusts inside. So that is now actually it. I hope you enjoyed it. And as I said, making bread is a lot of fun and you can do it from scratch. The recipes are all on the boxes of if you do buy pre-mixed bread, but it's also a lot of fun just using normal flour. Now, use bread flour, baker's flour. Do not use normal white processed flour. You won't get a proper loaf. It's pretty crappy. You need the heavier flour for it to come out looking like real bread and tasting like real bread. So that is it from me this time, and enjoy your evening, and remember to share your smile with someone new and someone you love every day. Cheerio from the Crippled Finger Cook.